The world of e-commerce can be tricky, and that's why you need the experts to help take you to the next level. This is Delivering E-commerce. Delivering E-commerce. You'll hear from leaders and industry experts from around the globe, letting you in on their stories and journeys. Your host has 25 years in the retail industry and has been leading the strategy and development of e-commerce sites for 17 years, working with Walmart, Newegg, Big Al's, Ren's Pets, and Home Hardware. We think he may be qualified. This is Delivering E-commerce, and this is Chris Parsons.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Delivering E-commerce with your host, Chris Parsons. That's me. And today I'm very, very excited. I get the opportunity to introduce to you Chris Jarvis from GoFor. And we're going to listen to Chris talk about his journey in e-commerce for the last number of years. And when we get to the end of this, he's going to actually talk about how his company is truly delivering e-commerce. So I'm really excited about that. And Chris, I'm going to turn it over to you to speak to our audience right now.
Okay, great. Thanks for having me, Chris. It's a pleasure being here and talking to your audience. I think you described it. It's been a journey. It's been over 20 years of a journey. And, it started, I guess, with my education in industrial engineering, coming out of school and seeing what was in front of me. What I do for sure is I wanted to do something different, and that led me to retail. Had a short stint at Loblaws and got familiar with what happens in a store. I learned about POS systems and inventories in a store and how you unload a truck and fulfill a store, and that kind of got me really excited about what happens in a store. Why do people buy? Where do they travel in the store? What are the logistics and systems that keep a store functioning on a daily basis? That brought me into the Hudson's Bay company, and I was really fortunate to be there at a time and got to see everything from mass merchandise to luxury goods, everything in between. I mean, the Hudson's Bay company had Home Outfitters at the time, Zellers, the Bay, a number of different brands and banners that they were working with, and I got to participate in them all. But interesting fact, I was there actually when Hudson's Bay launched their first e-commerce site. If you can imagine that, in 1999, 90, 2000s-ish, I guess, launching their first site. I was a project engineer on the team, helping to map business process, and we're all contemplating, well, what is the world of e-commerce and what will it be? And look what it's become now. So yeah, 20 years later, it's been quite a journey to look back on.
What I find funny, Chris, is that anyone I speak with in retail, no one really chooses retail as a path, as a career path. And then once they've worked in it for whatever reason that brings them to retail, they absolutely end up loving it. It's one of those areas and one of those things that has so many facets to retail that Absolutely. You don't have to just be in marketing or the sales floor, or you can go into logistics and you get into the merchandising. Like, it's got so many facets. It's a really rich industry, but I think it's one of the ones that people, when they're in high school, going into college, they're not really thinking about it as a destination, and then they get here and they love it.
Absolutely. I mean, it kind of drew me in early, unlike some people, because for me, it was non-linear, right? It's relatable, but it's complex at the same time. We're all inherently shoppers and consumers at some level, but from an engineering standpoint and from a purely operational point of view, it was, how do you optimize for all of these unmeasurable things? What will the customer do next? Why do they do it? And how do we best serve them in a predictable way? It's not always easy, but that fascinated me, and I kind of fell in love with retail at that point. And then, from there, it became this, I want to say, somewhat reluctant entrance into logistics and supply chain with DHL. So but it had a retail slant to it. They wanted to launch a retail vertical, and that's where I got to, I like to say, get my PhD in supply chain management from DHL, because the first day I worked there, I've never been in a warehouse before. And I was a retail store ops guy. I knew the industry. I knew global supply chains. I knew how retailers worked. And it was, so how do we sell warehouses to these people was really why I was there and how I could best contribute. After 5 years, we grew a successful business, and lo and behold, I ran an engineering team that designed and built state-of-the-art warehouses. So, after that time, I really seen both sides of the coin: the logistics, design, supply chain side, combined with the retail, and how from there took me into getting away from airplanes and spending some more time on the ground, truth be known, and joined Metro Supply Chain Group, where I spent the better part of 8 years working with them, building their business and growing in that into the US. And along that journey, got back into retail, opening retail warehouses, doing an M&A and in the e-commerce space, and really helping a small company move into what is a super huge going concern now with the growth of e-commerce. And that's really the full trajectory for me, bringing me to now with GoFor Delivers.
Cool. And before you get into speaking about GoFor, I want to touch on a few things in your journey.
Sure.
One is where we've got a common connection with Tony. We've known him both for a number of years, and I just think the world of Tony. And I love to talk about people in the industry, ones that have made an impact on my career, and people that I can seek for answers on questions that I have. And Tony's been one of those guys that he's so well connected, he's so respected, and to be able to just reach out to him and ask him anything, he's always made time for me personally. So I would love for we talked a little bit about Tony in the conversation.
Yeah, it's a great guy. And I think Tony's indicative of the industry, right? I mean, looking back on 20 some odd years of experience, the world is small. The networks are connected, and it's about finding people that want to give back and connect with each other. And I think Tony is one of those individuals. If you want to get somewhere and talk to someone, Tony generally knows them and is willing to help. And I think that's a big part of why we bring innovation into supply chain and how e-commerce is evolving. It's through like-minded people sharing their experiences, opening up their networks, and collaborating. For me, I think a big part of this is collaboration, and now more than ever, businesses have figured out that without collaboration, it's going to be really hard to compete in the new coming years. Yeah,
and so just so we can give everyone clarity on who Tony is, Tony worked with you at Metro, and he's now working with you at GoFor. And what does Tony do for you?
So Tony's a VP of national sales. Tony gets out there every day and introduces our brand to retailers that could use our services. He's the great connector, I would call Tony. He's the guy that says, I found someone with a need and we have a solution. And so he brings us together and in a way that's authentic, in a way that's, understanding their needs and how we can help them as partners. That's, really where Tony plays best.
And so you had some great experience at DHL, and you had this retail background as well, and you get to Metro, and it leads you up to GoFor. How did those experiences help you prepare for what you're doing with GoFor now? GoFor is kind of a combination of all my experiences in my career. The biggest part of it really is, logistics, but this understanding and awareness of today's shopper and how retail has been formed and why last mile delivery and the innovative things that we do with technology, what role does it play? And it's been rewarding to kind of come to GoFor and see things from that tip of the spear view of what is next and where is the puck going to be, not where the puck is, right? Kind of a cliche sports analogy, but it is so true in business as well that, for me, the past 20 years have somehow led to, a logistics experience combined with a retail experience to be working at a state-of-the-art technology company who's positioned itself around the new omni-channel world that we are embarking on. And so I think as we think about that, it's GoFor is a place where we're exemplifying innovation and trying new things. And I think my role here is to help facilitate that with
some experiences that I've had and some understanding and some context of where things are going, but more importantly, where they've been as well, and an understanding of why GoFor is important. And I think it's great to have a lot of energy around a startup and try new things, but I believe that there's a good sensibility that comes along with experience that gets brought to the table in the position I'm in now.
Yeah. So some people are going to catch me playing around with some new technology. I speak about new technology on the stream here. I'm learning. I'm doing these podcasts, and I'm trying to get use some of the different options that are available to me, so that way people can focus on you. So I'm talking about this, and no one can see it on a podcast, but on the YouTube videos, they'll see it. Which is there's some great tools and technology here. But as you talk about GoFor and where they're going to go and where the industry is going, what I'm really excited to see from GoFor is those relationships you've already started building with different retailers, mm-hmm. and how they mature over the next little while. Is there someone that you can speak to that's doing it right with you guys right now, or do we all have room for improvement with our partnership with GoFor?
Great question, Chris. I mean, who's doing it right? I think those that are doing it right are willing to try and are attempting to do something. We all recognize there's opportunity for improvement, and we're definitely in an era where we're not sure exactly what the future is going to bring. A lot of talk about adaptability and the ability to be ready for whatever the next challenges are. And long gone, I think, are the days in the last year where it's about rigor and one size fits all. We're now talking about flexibility and adaptability and opening our preview to other solutions. So when I think about someone that we work with who's doing it really well, I think about our number one customer, which is the Home Depot Canada. They sunk into GoFor well over 2 years ago. They were inquisitive. They were curious. They asked us to start a pilot in Calgary. And, over the course of the next 2 years, we've traversed the country with them. We've opened up car and cargo van and box truck, and now we're going to do threshold delivery. And we're really been a true partnership around collaboration. I remember sitting with them in May of 2020, maybe it was just before May of 2020, just before the first wave of COVID hit, and looking across the table and saying, so what do we do now? And, them and us really connecting around where there's a will, there's a way, is what we both said. And we said, we don't know what that means, but we're locking our store, we're closing our stores. The environment and the shopping experience is changing as we speak. What can we do about it? How do we use the technologies and the capabilities that you have in our retail presence and continue to move product? And at that point, we were in about 75 stores. And, we really weren't focused predominantly on e-commerce and e-commerce deliveries from their commerce site. We were doing a lot of the pro movements, big and bulky and complex moves into job sites, and more B2B and more contractor based. And, where there's a will, there's a way. We said, sure, we can do it. And over the next month, we took everything we did and we made it ready for onboarding and market launches through video. And we worked with their store management team and launched programs across the country in record time, because, I think that's an example of what's possible with the right partner at the table who really wants to achieve something, needs to achieve something. Mm-hmm. And we've got other stories, of course. There's plenty, and there's not all the way through to, big multinationals like the Home Depot, but we're really proud of that relationship. At the end of 2020, it's not commonly known, but they actually rewarded us with, Supply Chain Partner of the Year. And, that reward, thank you, goes to, long-standing, major companies that have worked with them for a long time. And I think it shows the level of trust they have in us. And it's not just, like I was saying, not just big partners like the Home Depot. We have some really great success stories with some small companies as well. One that comes to mind is ColorX in Toronto. They're a small independent paint outfit. And, we worked with the team there and, helped them more than double their sales through online, and they went ahead and opened a new store, and we became their single source partner. And we take those relationships every bit as serious as we do the Home Depot. And I think it's working together to figure out, what is the customer journey? Right. How do you want to position your brand? And finding a way to use, asset-less logistics solutions. That's what we do. At the heart of it, we believe we're changing the face of logistics, where we once, not that long ago, needed to buy our trucks, put our logos on them, and have our drivers trained to move our product. And today we're proving that, you can still do that. We can do it maybe a little more cost effectively by opening up to independent owner operators, putting them into an open marketplace, allowing that resource to be shared amongst multiple merchants and multiple retailers, really optimizing that person's day, shortening the distance that they have to travel, shortening their reaction times, and finding out that you can not only deliver pizzas on demand, you can deliver major B2B movements and pallets and big and bulky all the way through to t-shirts and socks in the same way. And you can create programs that, from where we're sitting, it's about, having this endless well of driver capacity sitting in a marketplace that you can take as much or as little as you want on demand.
Well, the beginning of your answer really pains me, because obviously Home Depot is a competitor of mine, but yeah. I love the transparency. It's the right answer. I know we've engaged from a home hardware perspective well over a year ago. Unfortunately, I had just started my career here, and then COVID got in the way. So the next time you do a podcast, I want to change that answer. So to my friends at the Home Depot, congratulations for the head start. For sure. I appreciate that transparency. But hey, so let's talk a little bit about the question. I know it comes, an FAQ for you is like, what is your capacity? What's your reach across this big country of ours, and how do you service it?
Yeah, we're truly national in Canada. We've got a big geography with a lot of places in between, but we are in everywhere from Victoria Island to Newfoundland, and most places in between. Obviously, the bigger cities have a larger driver pool in them, but we're in Winnipeg, Regina, Edmonton, Calgary, Abbotsford in BC, for example, is a small town. New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island. We've truly taken our core services and ran them straight across the country, and so that means almost anywhere we sell product in the country, you can get a small, medium, or large vehicle on demand from GoFor. That's a car, a cargo van, or a straight truck that can service your customers in as little as 3 hours. And, I think our bigger markets, we move upscale a little bit. We go all the way into the 3-ton, the 5 tons, the flatbed trucks. But our core is straight across the country, and it has a huge amount of capacity in it.
That's great. And I watched your podcast the other day, and on that podcast, you touched on the last mile and how important that is for e-commerce. And you touched on it a couple of times, and I agree. It's a critical piece that we're trying to solve. And I think GoFor has a really good solution. Do you want to touch on the last mile delivery?
Yeah, well, last mile, it's where we work every day. It's what we're about. It's the ability for you and us to, from the point of purchase online, we start the clock. We have 180 minutes if you choose the need for an express delivery. The store fills it in about 40 to 45 minutes is what we give ourselves, and we give ourselves about 2 hours to deliver, plus or minus 15 minutes on either side, and we've got 180 minutes to complete a successful delivery. So we look at every order every day down to the minute, figuring out if and where and when we are doing that, and why not. That's really at the heart of what we're about. We believe customers want what they want when they want it, and they want it now. 9 times out of 10, it's okay to wait sometimes, but most times now I really want that instant gratification. And that speed element is really helping blur the lines from e-com point of purchase to physical goods in my hand. We kind of call it a magical experience. because our customers say that to us a lot. It was like, wow, I ordered this and at 9 o'clock during breakfast, and by noon I was actually using it. It's kind of exciting still. And, I run this business every day, and it never fails to amuse me when, things happen instantaneously like that at a reasonable price. And I think that's at the heart of what we do. Of course, we do offer same day, and there are needs for same day. And we do order aggregation, and route optimization around, getting some more capacity out of our vehicles. We spend a lot of time doing that. We call it consolidated pickup and delivery for same day. So we might go to a warehouse, fill a truck. We might go on 30 stops for that day or 100 stops for that day and bring the truck back empty. We also do scheduled services. So if you want it next Monday, do you want it same day? Or do you want it 3 hours? And we can get really precise on that. And we're taking all of that and even pushing ourselves forward a little bit more with things like VIP and front of the line service. So we know a lot of our business happens very early in the morning in the construction world. So we've created, a front of the line program where if you need something dropped at a location at a very precise time, i.e. 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, we'll make that happen the day before, and you'll get that front of the line access to our drivers. And then
the pro shopper must really love that, like to be able to come in first thing in the morning, be served with your stuff ready to ship, or get it on site. It has to be so beneficial to a pro that's trying to get a job done in an efficient manner and take the worry about when these products are going to arrive. Absolutely.
I mean, we see it in all contractors. The night before, they're doing their punch list. They're getting up, an obscene amount early in the morning. They're heading off and they're with their white truck and they're filling up those materials for the day. And if we can become a trusted delivery source for them, that's predictable, highly communicative, ability to react to their needs, they can start trusting us. And so what we see is, I don't have to spend an hour and a half in the morning doing that. I can go right to the job site, know it's going to be there, and I can take all that pressure off of them. They get more time to do what they do best and do their trades that earn them the income, as opposed to worrying about materials and material handling. We see a lot of uptake on that. And then likewise, when it comes to e-commerce, we see a lot of utility around some of the VIP services that we are developing this year with, hearing loud and clear, you need to cross the threshold, or, I need the opportunity, or at least the option, to put this in the black car. This is a very special customer with a special need. I don't want it riding along with other product. I need a little bit more care and custody of this. All the way down to signatures are required, or there's certain people we're looking for with special instructions, and really starting to, round out the corners of our service offering into, unique and tailored aspects, combined with looking out for our core, which is those contractors that use a lot of material on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, and I mean, what a value for a DIYer, right? Like I had a project this weekend where I was working on my garden. I make it sound like it's a small project, but it was 50 feet wide by 4 feet deep, this garden in the backyard. And throughout that process, I've probably made 3 trips back to stores and doing curbside pickup, trying to pick up items that I forgot from the first 2 trips. And I just lost hours of labor. And then you're looking at the sky, and the weather report is 90% chance of rain. Whereas as I knew I needed these items to be able to order and have it delivered to me within 3 hours so I can keep the work going and the progress going, it would have relieved so much stress. So
absolutely,
that 3 hour delivery window is got to be a big benefit for consumers that are working on projects.
And that's how GoFor started, right? That was the origin and the thesis on what we built was, like you're building a garden, but like a full-fledged construction site. We're building a house, and we run out of materials, and inevitably people put the tools down, and they have an impact on productivity as the foreman goes and gets the coffees and loads up on materials, and some hours later he's back on site. But there's a real degradation of the work at hand happening there, and that's the mission that GoFor has been on. How do we solve that? The last year and through COVID, obviously, has changed some of that and moved us into other areas just by sheer demand. The upsurge in online shopping has been pretty unprecedented, and had us easily move into these new spaces. And I think we're excited about that, because now we're doing multiple different things with our capabilities. And we like to talk these days about some of the work we're doing at the malls. We've got a partnership with Oxford Properties that just launched a couple weeks ago, and here we are, a construction delivery company who's now working with some of the biggest retailers in the business, and we're pretty excited about what's possible. But we didn't see it coming, quite honestly. These are the silver linings that happen. Again, where there's a will, there's a way, and people knocked on our doors, and we said, sure, let's give it a go. And here we are, a year and a half later, thinking about how we can move across the country in a retail capacity, and linking up to e-commerce and digitizing some of those omni-channel touch points that customers have been craving.
Yeah, I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. I think one question, though, my audience is probably thinking about, because a lot of people are in the e-commerce space, and we have to look at the profit and loss, and is there an opportunity to monetize the shipping? Like, are consumers willing to pay for that 3-hour delivery versus, most of the time now we offer free shipping at a certain threshold, whether it be 49 or 69, whatever those dollar amounts are. But for that convenience, are you finding consumers are saying, yeah, I'll pay for that convenience? And can a retailer take some margin off of that shipping and be able to pass it on to their bottom line, so they continue to improve their sites and their site experience?
Yeah, and it does really vary by price point. Like, we have to put this into context. So when it comes to buying a 300-pound, $2,000 barbecue, people are like, yes, this is a no-brainer, right? I can't put this in my car. It's difficult to handle at best. And if you can do that for that price, I'm happy to do it. When it comes to a t-shirt and, maybe smaller items that aren't so expensive or so difficult to maneuver, it becomes a little bit of a different value proposition. Right. And so what we work every day on is figuring out those unit economics and those solution sets that are really going to lead the change of customer behaviors. And then slowly it'll start to move into other categories. And so for the example at the, for the mall work, to hit a price point that's, going to work for most purchases at a mall that can be carried away in your car, you're going to need to lower those price points. And we're going to do that through aggregation and the ability to get the coat, the shoes, and the pants, put them into one box, right? Keep it sustainable, not make 3 different trips, not package it 3 times, bring the box out of the mall as you would a consumer, put it in a tote that's reusable, and make that delivery route as dense and as optimized as possible, so that we can lower the barrier to entry. But for the first time, provide options. It's not, maybe everybody won't want that, but there will be a need someday for different use cases for that. We want to have those options available. And then likewise, we want to have the ability to take anything in the mall. So right. I see a table, I see a coach, I'd like it now. Well, you can have it now. Why not? And long gone are the days of booking appointments and figuring out what postal code you're in and taking half a day off work and then waiting for the delivery guy who my house is always the last one on the route. So it's the longer side of the delivery period. We can now with confidence say, yeah, it's going to be delivered in the next few hours. And that predictability and that open communication, through electronics, through digitization of messaging, knowing where the truck is, watching the truck move, brings a great deal of confidence to the experience. And so I think people are fascinated in that. But back to your question quickly, Chris, is, I think customers, it's surprising what they're willing to pay for. And, maybe it's been overshadowed by COVID, but the volumes are certainly there. I think it's, bestowed on us to figure out how we monetize it to profitability, which really means we have to address sustainability, right? The elephant in the room is we can't deliver everything every day in a car on fossil fuels. We've gotta start thinking a little differently about this.
Yeah, agreed. And you touched on the podcast, some innovation. So I think maybe this is a great time to introduce a new guest and bring in Alan Tan and have a conversation about the innovative solutions that you guys are looking to bring to market. Welcome to Delivering E-commerce. This is an exciting episode for me because so many times in retail, you talk about innovation, and innovation is, let's roll out some more lockers, or let's go and we'll do some personalization. But those things are maybe accelerating, but they're not necessarily truly innovative. And from the podcast that I listened to just yesterday, that the two of you guys had a great conversation on the work you're doing, I think is really innovative, especially in the Canadian market. So Alan, I would love for you to talk about your company and how you're partnering with GoFor.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Thanks for inviting us over here to this to your session. So for our area, we are formed in 2018, and we are looking. The reason why we are formed is because the market is dominated by what we call at that time toys, because those are DJI drones that some of them in this time now they have enterprise, but at that time they're all like just Mavic, couple 1 or 2 kilograms maximum. They cannot really do much, and a lot of people was like complaining. It's like, hey, what if we can do deliver listing by drones, or what if we can actually look at this, have this sensor carried by the drones, and they are up there like 5 kilograms or so. So we're like, okay, that's right. There's not many enterprise drones that can handle this, and most people are buying like the $1,000, $2,000 drone to do what they need to do. It's good for photography. Don't get me wrong, but if you really need to move stuff, you need something like a workhorse. Like I used to be a pilot, and we used to fly on C-130s. Then I've been flying hot shots, like using Navajos, actual aircraft, the workhorse, and delivering heavy stuff to the ISAN, as because that time is money for them. So I was like, what is the workhorse right now for the regulators? So that's why we came up with this idea to do Aurora Era. Make it customizable with a huge payload, put whatever you want, and then adapt it to the client's workflow. Most important, it fit within your workflow. And the best thing is, if we can automate it, that's what Industrial 4.0 is.
That's excellent. And for anyone that doesn't know your company, it's about drone delivery, right? It's about what's the one question I had from the video that I saw earlier, the podcast, was when you are thinking about the drone delivery, what's the size of the packages that we could actually really think that's going to be delivered? And Chris, you and I touched on a conversation earlier. What I thought was unique was how you're thinking about delivering those products, whether it's to a home or actually to a vehicle, which was really eye-opening for me about the thought process behind what you guys are doing.
Yeah, we're trying to explore a number of different avenues, right, with Alan and Aurora Aerial. Where, I think the partnership is about innovation, right? So, I think there's obviously from the retailer to the home is the most obvious straight path, delivery. But there's some things that get in the way there, right? These are large vehicles, and they make a lot of noise, and they're intimidating. And we've got to recognize that customers aren't going to really come along a journey if it's not approachable for them, if they can't understand it, if it causes any kind of, worry for them. So how do we bridge that? And then, regulations, Alan's been teaching us a lot about, controlled takeoff and controlled landing in confined spaces that are, without injury and other safety concerns. So from the store, we can control it. We can also control it at where the truck is. And so maybe there's a replenishment activity that's going to happen from the store to the truck. So the truck remains in a dense area. It does the final block delivery, and the drone does the more stem mileage delivery. We're looking at that, and then Alan will kick it off and talk a little bit more about multiple drones and all the things that are going to gain efficiencies on making this operationally ready. Did I hit it all, Alan?
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Chris. So, for us, our area, we are a drone manufacturer. So, what it means is that with the capability of it, we can design what goes below and what is our undercarriage. We find that big and bulky, depending on what you call it, we try and have it attach them safely and securely. So you may even find that right now we are delivering a pillar box that's about 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot so that we can deliver them. But we are working on solutions that can be bigger, 2 foot by 1 foot, slowly expanding. We need to test out what will be the optimum. For us, we know that our aircraft can carry a payload of 10 kilogram. If within the regulation right now, the regulators only allow 25 kilogram maximum takeoff weight because we are working with the regulators to be what they call crawl, walk, run. We slowly perform, get more data, make sure they're comfortable. Then we move on to the next stage and get bigger and move on. So the next point that we have is that our aircraft at 34 kilogram maximum takeoff weight, we can carry about 15 to 20 kilograms of payload. So but again, we are not jumping right up there because we want the regulators to be comfortable. So there is a few other companies as well, but most of them we know that is having a typical 5 kilogram. So we want to work with regulators. That's why we even brought on just this month, Dr. Ellie Ferguson, who used to be down south in the United States working for a very big manufacturer as well, head of regulatory, and she's here to help us work with the regulators in Canada and worldwide because we're looking at expanding this one in the States as well. Because that's where GoFor is. GoFor has a big plan to be in the States as well, and we hope to support them as well.
Absolutely.
So one of the Alan, one of the guests I had on a previous podcast, Matt LeBeau, he talked about having to be proactive, working with the government, working with regulators, because in his industry, the health food industry, the government may not have had the exact expertise and really relied on partnerships from him and other retailers to educate and guide and help build those regulations. Is that kind of the process that you're going through right now, is where you're kind of the authority, so you're educating and helping them groom those and have comfort, first of all, with the concept? Because I can imagine that there's so many liabilities in people's minds that they're worried about, that you need to help them overcome and feel secure about allowing you to take on new risks.
Exactly. We work with the authorities. So we are like the guinea pigs for them. We crawl first, learn how to crawl, make sure they see that we did not fall, we did not injure ourselves, and then we do that. So that is why we are, going in the rural area where the liability is very low, and we're going to try our multiple ship deployment and this summer. So right now we have already did a small case whereby a small area, 400 meters, 500 meters, 3 ships deployment, that works. So the next one we're going to try is a longer distance while maintain visual line of sight. Yeah, and then in the rural space, because the main thing to help to add the reduce the bottom line for GoFor and his team, to the even the whole logistic chain, is to have the multiple deployment. Imagine one pilot, you can fly 5 drones. That means you're doing 5 delivery at a single time within the 3 minutes. That,
Wow.
do your math. Okay, and the
And
next thing that we're
especially
going
in
to
the
try.
as you talk about the last mile, but what I think about it is store of the community, right? So instead of from a DC, having an order shipped from a DC to a consumer, when you can do in-store fulfillment from a drone and have it shipped just down the road, and have one pilot sending out 5 packages at once, that's pretty efficient. I'm excited to see those drones in the air, that's for sure, because that will, customers' expectations. It used to be 3 to 5 days, no problem, they'll wait for their product, and then they became down to 2 days, and then the next day delivery, and now same day. And the customer's expectation, especially on stuff for projects that they want, or a new item to market for those early adopters, they have this urgency that we just can't satisfy no matter how fast it gets. I think there's a great comedian, and I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, but he talks about Amazon and he says, I want it now. And he goes, actually, I want it before I even know I want it. I want Amazon just to know that this product needs to be at my house and deliver it without me even asking for it. So, I mean, we're not quite there yet, but having a drone delivery within minutes to your home from a store is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think there's lots of opportunity for us. And, we like the instant delivery aspect of it. How far will it go before it's gone too far? I guess the consumers will tell us that. But when we think about, launching drones from, shopping malls, and we think about what's in a shopping mall, from your dry cleaning to your eyeglasses to your bank statements to the food court and everything in between, speed will be a dominant factor. I mean, Alan and I talk a lot about not just the last mile when we talk about drones, we talk about the last block delivery, and how do we start to run, his ships in tight spaces that are safe, predictable, but we're really going to bring together the digital internet and the physical internet for the first time. And as quick as you can click, things are going to arrive. And Chris, to your point, almost like they're reading our minds through AI and ML, which will be kind of scary. And we'll see how much customers push back at some level and say, this is a little bit too much Star Wars for me. But I think when you think about innovation and you think about partnerships and what's possible, it's your goal to really push those envelopes and see what will stick.
Yeah. So with the technology, you guys are testing it, you're learning from all these tests. Where's it going? When do you see this being an actual in-market reality for retailers? And it better not be HD that gets the benefit of it. It should be HH that gets the benefit of this one. So
that's right.
When do you think this would actually be in market? Is it 2 years? Is it a year? Is it 3? Where's this thing going?
Well, from me is, the technology, I think we are almost there. We are just proving it out. The main the showstopper would be regulators and how fast can the public accept. So first, we need to have the public acceptance to it, because a lot of them is their thinking. A lot of the people, it's like, that's just fantasy. And then you got to accept that. And then also we need to do a lot of trust to collect data. I was just on another call this morning that United States is having this 580 hours of requirement to collect enough data before they release you to fly anywhere. So when that is the case, I mean, the Canadian regulators have to come up with their own way to determine what is called reliable. And our job is to provide them as much data as possible to get them comfortable. And along with the public acceptance. So those two is the key. And how long does it take? I would say that in United States, there is about 5 places they have that doing pilot program within the small town across the so-called campus or small town. And in Canada, we are spearheading that right now in Vancouver and Toronto within the consortium that's called CAM, and we are trying to do that as well. So depending on the result from all these trials worldwide and what the regulators are sharing, we could see it in the next 2 years, if not faster. But it could be slower if they found some like data that is like of concern. Then they need to actually change it. But if everything goes well, it could be about in the next 2 years to 3 years. We could see that, and I am pretty sure that rural area would come in first. So the delivery for the rural side will come in first because it's less risk. In the urban area, it would have to take a bit longer, about 5 years, at least. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, 2 years is not that far off. So, I mean, that gives us retailers some time to start making sure we have our ducks in a row, so that way the delivery systems can actually do what you guys do best. But ultimately, we can do a lot better to make sure we understand our customers' needs in that period. So that way we can work with you guys to give you recommendations on how to service those customers better for a successful go-to-market launch. So Thank you so much, Alan. That's great information. Chris, is there any other notes that you wanted to talk about with your partnership there?
No, I think that covers it. I mean, for us, we're just, I think you hit it, Chris. We're really excited about, logging hours and testing variations that, can be well accepted by the public, and bringing that to some of our partners to say, what do you think about this? Because the more people are nodding and understanding where we're going and building solutions that are pragmatic, right? So that, I think that from store to truck is very pragmatic. People can envision that, and the more we can test and pilot those things, that's what we're really trying to do with Aurora Aerial. And we believe, to your point, 2 years is going to go by really fast. It's about preparing now, and Alan and his team are helping us navigate that front.
I'm excited about it. I mean, ultimately, every time I forget the batteries at the store, I can instantly get on my phone, order those batteries, and have a drone probably beat me home. That would be great. So thank you so much, Alan. Appreciate that. If you're welcome to stay for the conversation, I want to touch on a few things Chris and I talked about earlier. We talked about some of the competitive nature of the marketplace, and both of us agree that the whole industry, regardless of what's the brand label on the box, needs to be more collaborative. If we really want to have change and we really want to have e-commerce and an omni-channel experience, I think a lot of us have to work collaboratively to make that happen. And Chris, I just want you had some great comments about that earlier today, and touch on how we should be more collaborative in this, especially in the Canadian market, as we're still behind the US. And I think if we can do those things together, we'll speed up our growth and maturity in this market.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I think collaboration is the future of business success. That without it, it's going to be hard to really be in a winning position. So as I think about retail, and we think about how retail is changing, and it's changing faster than ever before, right? Through the last year and beyond, it's going to not slow down. There's just a surge of the transition. We really need to start to think about the complexities that we're entering into, right? Through the omni-channel of what is the in-store experience? What is the online experience? How do they link up? How do we look at, all these aspects of it, from, high tech to process, and through what are the training programs for our associates? It's hard to imagine that any one retailer can traverse this amount of change that we're going to see in the next 3 to 5 years, from redesigning supply chains to rethinking what is the store's role in the service equation, to manning a fleet of your own vehicles for delivery, and finding all these partners to not only just drive tech, but to drive new ways of training and new ways of moving product and measuring things. It's all in play, and customers, they're not going to be sitting around waiting for you to get there. They're expecting you to get there quicker. And I think that's where collaboration and partnerships are really going to help those that are open to it move quicker and yield better results in the end. But we feel that partnerships that we have with our company and with our partners, it's really about that transparency and being open to acting as if you were the brand and you work for that end customer equally. One of the interesting things that we see is we ask our customers to rate our service every day at a 1 out of 5 stars, and provide us some comments. And we're really proud that we hit a 98 plus success rate on our on-time delivery, and we get a 4.8, 4.9 star rating pretty consistently from our customers. But we look at the comments, and when we do get those 1s and 2s, it often reads as if we were the store.
Right.
I mean, it clearly was delivered by GoFor. It says that in the message. And regardless of what we say or how we message it, I bought this from that retailer. I bought this brand of product. And I think retailers are gonna, need to understand that it is their brand, it's their reputation. And, we like to think GoFor is in a brand extension to that relationship that we bring. And so it's important that we recognize, the value propositions. It's important that we recognize how to react and how to make decisions on behalf of our retail partners. And that doesn't come without, a real intimacy and a real level of collaboration that I don't think we see all that often. And it's going to be more and more required.
No, I love the way you said the extension piece of that quote there. And I wish I was able to pull that quote out and highlight it, because look, ultimately, when you partner with any partner, whether it's a logistics partner, an advertising partner, if they're not an extension of your business and you don't give them transparency to your goals, your objectives, your numbers, your margins,
exactly,
then you're missing a big gap in that partnership, and it will probably fail because one will win and one will lose, versus having a win-win created for that group of people trying to reach a goal. So you nailed it. I appreciate you bringing up that point. Hey, I know we're like 50 minutes into this thing, and I can talk for 2 more hours, no problem. But I wanted to give our audience the opportunity to be able to connect with both of you. So Alan, I'll start with you. If anyone's looking to connect with you, whether it be on LinkedIn or whatever social platform, how can they connect with you, Alan?
Yeah, they can be connecting to me at our Alan, ALAN, at aurora.area.arrow, or even on LinkedIn, just search me up. I'm one of the few Alan Day from Aurora area as well. So
excellent. Thank you, Alan. And Chris?
Yeah, so for me, search me up on LinkedIn, Chris Jarvis. You can reach me by email at cjarvis@gofordelivers.com, or check out GoFor at gofordelivers.com. Pretty easy to find us.
Great. Hopefully people will take the advantage, at least to have a dialogue and a conversation with you guys. You're doing some amazing things. I appreciate you being part of Delivering E-commerce, and I think this is officially my 4th episode, if you take out of the question and answer that I did the other day. So I'm really enjoying this. Hopefully the audience is getting to find some good partners that they can leverage to grow their business. And congratulations on that win with HD. I love the folks over there. I have a ton of friends there. So that's great. I always say in this industry, we become frenemies, because you work so collaboratively, you cross paths so many times. But the folks over there, the team over there does such a great job, and you should be proud of getting that acknowledgement. Good for you. And thanks, Alan, once again, thank you so much for your time tonight. I appreciate it. Guys, thanks for the conversation. I'll welcome you back anytime, and have a great night.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, Chris. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
You've been listening to Delivering E-commerce. It's our passion to have on leaders and suppliers in e-commerce from around the globe, setting you and your strategy up for the next level. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with Chris on LinkedIn at Chris Parsons, on YouTube at Chris Parsons Delivering E-commerce, and on Twitch at Chris Parsons 1976. Till next time, this is Delivering E-commerce.